How to play hide and seek alone. Before we begin, I would like to state that the title of this game is rather misleading. You are not, in fact, playing hide and seek as much as challenging a paranormal entity to a stabbing contest. Does that sound stupid? Dangerous? Pointless even? Congratulations! You have basic common sense and survival instincts. But for those of you who aren't so blessed and do wish to know how to play, I will tell you. To play, you will need a doll. Note that this doll should have 4 limbs, but should not be human-like in its features. 4 limbs so it can play, and not human, because the thing you are playing with might not want to leave if you do. Also, make sure that you don't use one you have an emotional attachment to. We will be getting rid of this doll once the game is done. Rice. Enough to stuff whatever doll you choose. A piece of yourself. This can be hair, a nail, blood, or anything else that is yours. And I do mean it must be a part of you. Don't use someone else for this step, or else this becomes a curse on them, on yourself, and anyone caught in the crossfire. Don't be a dick. Use your own. Red string. This will be used to sew up the doll for preparation of the game. Salt water. I would suggest a full glass of it. You might not need all, but it's better to have and not need than the other way around. There should be a good amount of salt in this water. I would suggest getting it as close to saturation as possible. A bathtub of water. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bathtub, but it should be a basin large enough to hold and submerge the doll. And lastly, a safe hiding place. This is hide and seek after all, or so they claim. How to start the game. Make sure you are home alone. If there is anyone else in the building, you'll put them and yourself at risk for harm and possession. The same applies to pets. I'm sorry if you live in an apartment or shared home. You'll have to find somewhere else to play. Also, make sure all exits are closed. Every exit, entrance, window, and doggy door must be shut, lest your new friend escapes. To start, give the doll a name. It can be anything, as long as you are consistent about it. Then it should work. You see, names have power, and giving the doll a name gives it power. For my example, I will call it Mr. Bean. Yes, Mr. Bean. And one more thing, don't give it a name of someone you are an acquaintance with. It will send it after them, and possibly you as well. You can never really know. Next, open the doll up and take out the stuffing. Fill it with rice and whatever piece of yourself you chose to use. Now, using the red string, sew the doll shut and wrap the remainder of it around the doll. At this time, turn all the lights in the house off and turn the television on. Any channel will do. It can even be static. The television just needs to be on. Fill the tub with water. Now, wait until 3 a.m. before entering the room with the tub. Preferably the bathroom, mainly because it has a bathtub inside, and because the door can be locked. Next, you will need to close your eyes and sternly say to the doll as follows. The first tagger is, and then whatever your name is. You will have to say this 3 times before submerging the doll in the tub. Turn around and leave the room. Do not look back. The spirit is entering the doll, and if you were to make eye contact with it, it might choose you as a better host than a measly doll. Once outside, with the door closed, go to another room and count to 10 before returning to the bathroom. Approach the doll and say, "I found you," using the doll's name. For example, if the doll was named Mr. Bean, you would say, "I found you, Mr. Bean," and then proceed to stab the doll with the sharp object you chose. Beginning to see why this isn't hide and seek? After stabbing it, close your eyes and say 3 times to the doll, using its name, "Now, Mr. Bean is it. Now, Mr. Bean is it. Now, Mr. Bean is it." Remember, I'm only using this as a name. Whatever name you chose, you have to use. Now, leave the sharp object beside the doll and take some of the salt water into your mouth. Do not swallow it. This is your main defense against the doll should it find you, and you will also need it if you want to end the game. Bring the rest of the cup of salt water with you and leave the room. Lock the door behind you and make way to your hiding place. Do not make a detour. Do not look back. Go directly to your hiding place. It is recommended that you have your cell phone on silent and brightness on low. While you shouldn't be using it, you'd be surprised as to how many people were found merely on the off chance of some poorly timed text from their mother. Once in your hiding spot, remain there. The game has begun. You may play for up to 2 hours. Any more can be dangerous because, as time goes on, the entity will become more attached to the doll. Any longer than 2 hours, and we can't guarantee that it will leave. To end the game, you will have to leave your hiding place and find the doll. You may notice that it is no longer in the bathroom, and the channel of the television may have changed. If the channel has changed, be thankful you turned it on. TV just saved your life by distracting a homicidal doll. Once you find the doll, spit the water in your mouth on it, and pour the water from the glass on it too for good measure. You see, salt has special properties that can break bonds, including the bond between the entity and the doll. Once you have spat the water and poured it on the doll, proclaim loudly, "I win, I win, I win." At this point, the spirit should give up and leave. Congratulations, you have ended the game. Burn the doll, bury the ashes with salt in a remote place. Don't go back. You stabbed an otherworldly being, and it probably wouldn't be happy to see you if it's still lingering near the doll's remains.